Welcome to this video or live stream, depending on how you say it. But like, we're gonna do another video again on React Native and Dalle 2. By now, almost everyone should know Dalle 2 and OpenAI. I mean, it's been all over the news with the new ChatGPT app. So what we're going to do now is that previously I've done a video whereby I've shown you how to integrate Dalle 2 with React Native, but now I'm creating an updated one because I did say on the video that integrating Dalle 2 directly on React Native is actually not the best way of doing things, and there's a number of reasons for that, like especially security and other factors that we won't talk about now, but they are there on my blog post. So there's a blog that I wrote and it's in the description now. So this will just be a walkthrough on how you do it. So it won't be all the steps that you gonna do. Okay, cool. So what I want to do is, this is the demo app. So it's actually, you see, you can actually change it and write a prompt that you want. Let's change it from cat to dog, and then press on generate. So generates actually going to the back end and actually fetching the data. So should take a couple of seconds, and then we should return with the response. Taking a bit longer than normal. Let's see if the app is running. Let me just see if maybe I stopped the server, so that's why it's not complaining to us. So this is the app that is finished. So just gonna restart. Okay, and then I'm gonna say laughing cow. Okay, so there we go. So you can see the response what's happening here. So this is actually using React Native with Dalle 2, like the API, and it's powered by Node on the back end. So we can just do a simple project on how you actually do that. So to get started, we just gonna open the command prompt, and then we want to go to, let's say we want to create a folder that will have the node logic. So I'm just gonna create a folder here. Just gonna create a folder. I'll call this node Dalle 2 API. Okay, cool. So let's just go to that cd node Dalle 2 API. Yes. So what we want to do now is that we want to say npm init-y install -y. So we just installing the package data. So let's see. an error here. Oh yeah, so it's npm init dash y. So initializing package.json, and then we're done. So let's just say code dot open VS Code. Cool. So like now that we have VS Code opened, we're just gonna install a couple of dependencies, like Express, which will run up the server, OpenAI, which we get the images from, and .env, which is gonna be handling our secrets, which is the secret API keys. So I'm just gonna add those guys here. Cool. So we also need like node1, which is the so what node1 does, that instead of us keep on saying npm start, it just starts up the server automatically, and it's a dev dependency. That's why we have -d there. While that's going, what's going to happen now is that we're going to go to package.json. So when we start the app, we want to start it from index.js. So we'll have to create an index.js folder here. But in order to start it, you need to have logic to start the app. So that logic, we put it under the scripts. So the scripts here, we're just going to change that to have that logic. So we're going to have start, and then we have dev. So start is mapped to index.js using node, and then node1 for dev. So it will be npm run start, npm run dev. Okay, save that there. Then we're going to create the index.js. Okay, index.js is the root of our entry point. So what happens is that when we actually run up the app, it will start at index.js. So that's where we're gonna put most of our logic when it comes to the logic, running up the server and going to which route that we want. So I'm just gonna test it by saying console log we are live. And then save that in the terminal, npm start, npm run start. Okay, cool, we are live is there, so everything's working nicely. I'm just gonna remove that. So like I said, so here we're gonna have to import express.env and indicate the port that we're gonna use. So in this case, we're gonna just have to import express.env, which is our secrets, and then the port, and then we're gonna be using port 3000 for this example. Okay, and then after that we have to gonna get initialize the server, which is express, which is the app itself. So that's why we're gonna say express.use. Here what we're doing here is that so it's more of like your body pass, so we're gonna get a response with the information that we want. So that allows us to get that information. And then here, so this will be like the path that is gonna be taken by us when we're actually doing the post for the picture. So gonna go to OpenAI, and then this will be directed to the routes. So we don't have the routes as yet, so we can create that. So when it comes to Node, there are many ways of creating your nodes folders. So in this example, I'm gonna use the NVM, which is the model view controller pattern for creating folders in Node. So it just makes it easy for us to have a way to expand the project. So, but then that normally means that we will have some basic folders that we normally have. For example, you'll have your app folder. The app folder will normally have the other folders that I talked about, which is we'll have controllers, and then you'll have models and views, but I'm not going to add them here because we're not gonna use them. We're not gonna add models or views. The other one that we normally want in the root is we want your root or your roots. So you have your app, you have your roots. So that's fine. So what we're gonna do now is that we're gonna go to our roots. So because here we're pointing to the roots, and then roots, we're gonna create a file which is called roots.js. Okay, cool. And then what root.js basically defines a post. It's a post route for the server that listens for the requests made to a method that we're gonna create, which is a generate image. So that's what happened here. So it's gonna listen to a post route to this generate image, and then it's gonna run this module, which will actually is the controller. That means then it's responsible for handling the logic of generating the image. So that's what's gonna happen. So then we just have to remember to export this module, and then from here we have to go to that OpenAI controller, of which is gonna be on our controllers. So we're just gonna create a folder which we call it OpenAI controller. And then inside of this OpenAI controller, we will have to first import OpenAI functions. So these are normally higher order functions which will take other functions within them, or will take responses. So the first one, more information about this you can get from the OpenAI documentation. It's actually clear on how you actually define this. So we're gonna first take the configuration. The configuration will actually take the information that will authorize us to use OpenAI. So for example, we'll need the OpenAI like our organization and our API key. So this is probably the right time to create the .env file, which is our file which contains our environment. So for our environments here, we're gonna need 3 things. We're just gonna define the port. In this case, we're gonna be using 3000. Also, we need to define the API key. API key you're gonna get from the OpenAI API key under accounts. I've placed a link here, so the link is also in the description, just in case you wanna grab that. So what we're gonna do now is that we're gonna just see if we can grab an OpenAI key. Let's see, is there one close by? Okay, so when you go to your keys here, you can just say generate OpenAI key, copy that, and then you can simply paste it here. Gonna do the same thing for the organization as well. Just simply gonna paste your organization key. So its organization key is actually on this path, so you can also just check it out and see which one is your, like which one belongs to you. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is that we're actually gonna test the app, but we have to first finish the logic for the controllers. Let's finish the logic for the controllers and then we can test it out. So now after we have the configuration and they know who we are, we can now put in logic. We can actually put in the logic for OpenAI. So that means then we can call the OpenAI for itself. So we can just say const OpenAI, and then we're gonna use OpenAI to generate the image. So that means then what's actually happening now, we have to get the generate image. This is the function that we spoke about. So the function will normally take a try catch. So it'll take a try catch, and then initially it will try to get the response, which is the image, and then we have to actually pass it like a prompt and an image size. So these are the items that we're gonna be getting from the user. So they're gonna fall under the body. So we have to put that there. So it will be the request.body. And you can remember that when we're doing the index.js, we did put in the ability for the user to provide the information in the body. And then for the size, here we're just gonna put this ternary here, which just asks like whether you want a small, medium, or large, and then it just returns the image accordingly. So that's for that logic. So the next thing that we do now is that, like, if we get into the image or the response is successful, we want to save that image in a URL. So I'm gonna take the information from, let's see, so we're gonna take that information, which is the image size. We're taking it from the URL, which we have been, like, this will be coming from the response itself. So it's pretty cool. And then after we get that image URL, we wanna post it now back to the front end. So that's why we have to use the res.status.json. So we need to send that data, and then if it's successful, we use 200. Then we're sending them the message of true, and we're also sending them the URL, right? So but then now if there's an error, we have to send them a 400 and tell them that the image couldn't be generated. And then we also need to know now the exact message causing that error. So that's why we have to get this error.response. So just tell them what exactly is happening. So it mainly telling us, because the user will just see image could not be generated. Cool. And then we have to export this module. Nice. So cool. Let's run the server and see if everything is working. Okay, cool. The server is running. We don't have any issues. So I'm just gonna kill it, and then we're gonna run node1. So npm run dev. Okay, so we have node1 running now. So what we actually need to do now is to open up Postman and check if is it working on localhost 3000. Yeah, localhost 3000. OpenAI generate image. Then we're gonna have to go for the body, and remember it was the URL encoded. Then we have to pass it a prompt, and then just gonna say running cat. And then we're gonna pass it a size. The size here it's small. And then let's see. Oh, so we must put it as a post. So response was successful. So we got the information back. So this is the picture that it's giving us. Ridiculous, isn't it? Yeah, so we know that everything is working. So what we're gonna do now is that we're gonna go to, we have to like actually host the service in order to use it on the app. So because that's how you're gonna have it when you actually have a production app. You're gonna be like, you won't be using localhost. So I'll show you how to do that. So to do that, we're gonna be using a service called render.com. It's similar to Heroku in the sense that you can serve like websites and also the back end, which is the server content or server services. So that's what we're gonna use, and it's also free or has a generous free tier. That's what we're gonna use to host the application. And to host it, you simply go to render.com. You go to render.com. So render.com is what we're gonna use, and then here you have to create an account if you don't have one, and then you have to link the file that you working with GitHub on GitHub. So you have to link your GitHub to render.com, so it will automatically post the path. And then you also have to define some other things as well. For example, you have to say that you want to start on with npm start. So this is me like actually when I've actually pushed this one. So one of the things which I had to do, I had to tell it that we're gonna use npm start to start up the server, and also I loaded my environments as well, so my API key and the port and the organization. So I loaded those 3 things. So there are tutorials on runner.com, but it's quite simple. It should be up and running like in a few minutes. So cool. After you finish with that, then now we head to the app. I'll simply copy the URL which I have from runner.com, and then I'll go to the app. So what we have here on the app is actually very simple. This code can run on whether you put it on app.js or put it on home, so it doesn't matter. But basically what's happening here, we actually have a fetch, and then that fetch is doing a post to the URL that is coming from runner.com. This is our actual backend, our node backend, and it's taking options. The options actually, that's now where you define the method, which is the post. And then in the headers, we did say that it's gonna be a URL encoded. So you have to specify that here. And also the body now. The body will take in the prompts and the size. The prompt, we putting it as a constant here, but it's actually like the input, and then the size, I'm not really asking for it, so I kept it small. And also this will save on cost when people actually using the service, because the smaller one means you get billed less, or it takes less credits from your account. Cool. So what it does, that it will go to run to this URL and get a response. That response is JSON. The response will also contain the status and the data about the URL. So that's what we're gonna grab here. Gonna grab that URL, and then we're setting the URL to a picture. So this is coming from this hook here. So we're saying like normally the picture will be this one, which is just a placeholder picture. But we're saying that now when you have the picture from OpenAI, you must set that image. So we're setting it here. And then finally we catch the error, and then we say set loading to false, because you already have the picture. Now you can stop the spinner. So I'll show you like the spinner, which is here. So the spinner, so it starts once you press on this handle submit, which is coming from this touchable opacity, or the button basically, which is the generate image. So once it goes out, so it will go to this function, and this function will actually do the fetch, and then get the response, which is the picture, and then the picture is being placed on setup, and then everything just works. Yeah, so but like the links to the repo are in the description, and also the link to the Node repo as well, the link to my